welcome to Ask the Anabolic Doc, starring Dr. Thomas O'Connor, and brought to you by his websites, metabolicdoc.com and anabolicdoc.com, both of which you can get his new book, America on Steroids, A Time to Heal, and it is also now available on Amazon.com. And is that for download too, like on ebooks and all that, Doctor?
Not yet, Ron. Not yet, but we have it. We finally, about a week ago, we opened it up on Amazon, and very happy to say that's, people buying. It's really picking up nicely.
Excellent. Well, this is a special breaking news edition of Ask the Anabolic Doc. As a lot of you might be aware, on Tuesday, the SARMs Control Act of 2018 was proposed in Congress by Senators Orrin Hatch and Sheldon Whitehouse, and they want to, it says the bill is going to give the Drug Enforcement Administration the authority to get SARMs, selective androgen receptor modulators, off the market. They will become a controlled substance, and eventually you're going to need a prescription to get these things. And wow, the timing, because Doctor, you were just interviewed for the New York Times on an article they did about SARMs. So what was that article about?
Yeah, so this is really a precedent today. We're talking such an amazing news flash. So in JAMA, in the Journal of American Medical Association, there was an article put out about SARMs, and I believe it was the end of last year or early this winter. Mm-hmm. And then Anahad O'Connor, who is one of the health and wellness writers for the New York Times, contacted me, and on April 12th, 2018, on their digital edition, New York Times, he did an incredible article. Please, if you want to see this, put in Google SARMs New York Times article, and it's called "A Better Body in a Pill: Experts Urge Caution with SARMs." And again, the journalist O'Connor, funny, same name as me.
No relation.
It's interesting. I'm a fan of his because it's him and Jane Brody. Those are the two journalists for over a decade that they are the ones that exclusively cover medical health related issues for the New York Times. So I was so flattered that this other O'Connor, Anahad, his name is, called me from San Francisco, and we spent like 2 hours on the phone, and he wrote a killer, and then it ended up last week in the science section. It was in print, in the science section in the actual print New York Times. So yeah. It was so awesome, and he featured my practice and what I do openly for taking care of men on steroids. So we're getting some traction.
Nice.
Things are phenomenal. Business is unreal. I'm exhausted. I can't even speak because I'm taking in one new patient a day. Most of them are all men that are either coming from steroid use with other doctors that are doing a great job, but they're not qualified they don't really fully understand how to do it.
Yeah.
But I could tell you at the same time when this is happening, Ron, America is really transferring to a good place. Medical physicians are definitely accepting people are using steroids.
Good.
So that's what it's opening up wide because there's millions and millions of people using SARMs and steroids. So in this article, the article was reviewing a journal paper that the Harvard Medical School experts, they went online and they bought SARMs.
Yeah.
And this is not about SARMs. It was about what did you get what you think you're paying for. Right. Now, it's interesting that a few months later comes Orrin Hatch with this piece of legislation. Are they related? I don't know. Harvard's a big place. It was Journal of American Medical Association. So what happened was it showed that about half of the substances that they bought just from the internet,
yep,
it wasn't SARMs. It was other things, from steroids and inert agents, and some agents not inert. I mean, potentially dangerous. So please see that article, the Journal of American Medical Association. Again, Ron, we're trying to make everything evidence-based. And with this, again, I'm going to stay out of the politics, Ron.
Okay.
I'll let you do the politics.
I don't care. I'll get into it, sure.
So, because we're going to do it today, we're going to go into it.
Yeah.
But I'm going to tell you from the medical side, this for me brings attention that we have to, in that bill, if it goes through,
Yeah.
I'm begging them, if they're listening to us now, or anyone that knows them or has access to these people, if you're a professor at a medical university or any aspect, what they need to do, please contact me. They need to have funding for research, a registry, an open registry for steroid users. Ron, this is the time to start training and understanding what these agents do to men and women using them.
Is there not a lot of research? I mean, these things have been on the market for a few years already, I would think. And haven't pharmaceutical companies been researching these for, I would imagine, a couple decades at this point? Am I wrong?
So here's what I know. Of course, I didn't do my research today, Ron, because this whole thing caught me.
Yeah,
I just saw it. I saw it this morning or last night. You know, you gave me the email, and I was wow, and I'm just so overloaded. But I work every day with SARMs and men using. So here's what I know: SARMs never. There was 2 or 3 pharmaceutical companies. One I know was Osterin, that was the agent, and it was in Canada. It was well over 15 years ago. They stopped in the phase 3 trials, Ron. And again, if anyone wants to correct us on this, please feel free to correct.
Yeah.
And it never made it to the human trials. That's why when you buy them online, it's in a gray zone because it's not even for human consumption, Ron.
Right.
So it failed, and I know it failed because I read about this when I was writing for Muscular Development in 2010. And I remember I wrote something, and people were asking, "What are these agents?" And I remember seeing that it failed. It's online,
yeah,
and it failed because they caused, I believe, hypertension. And you know, so is it really a selective androgen receptor modulator? Is it? So we're going to go into all this stuff today, Ron,
yeah.
right? I mean, so
I've often wondered. I know so little about SARMs, and I never knew if it was just all hype or if they were, you know, it sounds to me if the senators are this concerned about it, it's either that they're so effective that they need to be classified as a drug, or that they're just inherently dangerous and they're worried for the potential for abuse and people harming themselves. Or maybe it's both. I don't know.
I mean, I did during this day today. I did reach out to some of my researchers, and they came back with so much information to me. I have it all my emails and all these. I'm trying to look at it all and for the sound bites today. But I mean, I don't know. Is this thing going to affect? Are they so successful online that are they drawing money away from supplement companies? I don't know. Maybe. I mean, it seems like in the end of the day, Ron. You know, I'm not going to be dragged into the politics on this. Not that you're trying,
yeah.
But it's money, Ron. So there's got to be money somewhere involved in there.
So if these things failed in the trial stages, never even made it to human trials,
yeah.
Does that mean that another company couldn't pick it up and try again?
I can't. You know, Ron. At that point, we need to research these for human suffering. People get old, they are weak and they die. We've talked, it's called age-related sarcopenia. People have age-related cachexia. They're allowed to use steroids and growth hormone. So because they're suffering. So we need, as a society, to research the good side. It is very interesting. We need to open a registry, see how steroids, including SARMs, are being used, to really understand the human truth with no bias, with ethical studies. I assume we could do ethical studies. We need to be open, and we need to see the good versus the bad, and then of course the opportunities for abuse, Ron. But is the opportunity for abuse, is that a reason to criminalize it?
Yeah, I mean, I wonder at the timing. You know, I talked to Rick Collins last night, and we were sort of, obviously we don't know for sure. We were just sort of throwing things around, ideas around. Why now? Why did they decide now we're going to take these off the market? There hasn't been a rash of deaths or people in emergency rooms that I know of, or we would have heard about it, I'm sure. I haven't heard of any adverse effects in large amounts of So why are they moving on this now? And I wonder, these trials that you're talking about, feasibly the only people that could fund these things, the government's not going to do it. It's going to have to be the big pharma. Big pharma is going to have to pick up the bill for all that. This is a
Wow.
tremendous expense, right?
This is going to be tens upon hundreds of millions of dollars, I assume, to research this. Of course.
I mean, just taking a drug all the way from through the trial stages until it's finalized is something like $1 billion minimum, isn't it?
Upwards of tens of millions or more.
So, yeah, I mean, from your experience, these things have been on the market, and you deal with people who have used them. What kind of effects do your patients who have used them talk about, positive and negative?
Okay, so that's what the journalist Anna Hyde O'Connor asked me, because what I see steroid users for 10 years openly in the clinic, and over the years I've seen men try to use SARMs and women as an alternative to anabolic steroids.
Right.
So hey doc, instead of me using Anadrol, D-bol, Test, Equipoise, let me try to use Osterin, LG. There's about 5 in the market, that are there.
Right.
And here's what I've seen. Here's my one example that I've repeated and I've seen hundreds of times. So a man will go, and it's similar. It supports what the guys over at Harvard really did find, that we don't know, because they're from the, you're saying the market.
Yeah.
Well, it's not on the market. It's in like a peptide. Again, I'm not making any
research chemicals.
That's right. But the market
and my rabbits and all those things.
Yeah. So it's interesting that it says you apparently get the stuff, and it says not for human consumption.
Right.
Not for human consumption, for lab rats only, for petri dishes. I mean, I'm not making this up.
Right.
So and then if you look on the internet when guys are talking about all this stuff, they say, well, my lab rat did,
put
so it's just
on his bench press.
I mean, my lab rat was benching, about 50 pounds more.
Yeah.
I mean, Ron, you can see where we're going with this. That God, this show is so fun.
Yeah.
I mean, the truth of the matter is it's ridiculous, Ron, that can we talk about the gorilla in the room that's on every gear? Can we finally talk about the poor gorilla? The gorilla is not playing Major League Baseball. He's not NFL player, not soccer, not MMA. He's just the guy who left my office.
Yeah.
He's a regular guy from some state not too far away that's 30, that's been on steroids since 20, and he just got off of a cycle of Clomid that for to have a child, and now he's ready to go back on some replacement T because his balls are shut off and his testosterone is 100.
Oof.
And he's 30.
Yeah.
So
no good.
But Ron, there's millions and millions of these men.
Right.
So if we're gonna go after the SARMs, I want it. It should be SARMs / anabolic androgenic steroids. They're all one the same. Because the truth of the matter is, and let me answer your question. I don't even know. So if a man says he's using SARMs, here's what I see in my clinic. When guys go, doc, hey, you know what? I came in. This is, say a new patient comes in. And I do my cholesterol, I do my lipid panel, my comprehensive metabolic. Their cholesterol, this is for basic stuff, beyond the comprehensive, the complicated, stuff.
Yeah.
The guy's HDL is going to be low, like he's on Anadrol, D-bol, or Anavar. It's the same. But is it really a SARM, or is it really just, he thinks it's a SARM, but it's really Anadrol,
right,
or Anavar? Or Winstrol, and his liver enzymes are elevated. So in 2010, when I was writing for you guys back then, I had multiple guys. That's when it was big, and it's been big ever since, on and off. But you know what? Steroid users, they don't even. A lot of them. I know the young guys and the fitness guys are doing it because because they don't want to use steroids.
Right.
But you know what they tell me? And again, I take in one steroid user a day. You know what they tell me, Ron? Doc, SARMs are garbage. Who even uses SARMs? So like those guys, you feel like garbage on SARMs.
Really?
We don't even know what it is. So hey, this is not me. This is what they say to me.
Yeah.
So we just use old school steroids. Feel actually a lot better, doc.
Well, I'm going to have to guess that these people weren't getting genuine SARMs. That was always my suspicion when I saw these things being marketed. Is you're probably not getting. you know, it's like there's ads on TV for you can get growth hormone and this, and it's not growth hormone,
No.
you know, and it's test Nugenics, and you know, they try to pull the wool over your eyes and make you think you're getting tests and growth hormone, and it's not. And I had a feeling that a lot of these things being marketed and sold as SARMs weren't really SARMs. I had a feeling that, you know, you had to have a connection to some actual research facility to get the real deal, and very few people were getting that. So I don't know, maybe SARMs are really as good as they're supposed to have the positive effects of anabolic steroids, but with a lot fewer side effects, right? Isn't that the selling
You know,
point?
Ron, there's no studies on it, so it's amazing to me, and maybe this is going to be some impetus for some research studies and somehow, because we better do it. So what I see is from anecdotal, but from hundreds of patients, hundreds, if not maybe 1,000, they've used SARMs at one point. But you know what, Ron? They don't. It seems like the men that we see, they're not using isolated like one ostarine by itself.
Yeah.
They're mixing it, so it's mixed. I can't tease out. It's you know, well. So if I look at the labs and I say, what were you on like during this time? What were you taking? Well, I think you know, I was coming off of ostarine and some Anavar and some it's not a pure study. So, but if I do have to say, men that are using SARMs completely isolated by themselves, it seems like they do build some muscle for a period of time. Nothing like steroids do.
Oh boy.
Nothing like steroids. And when I do look at the labs, it looks like they do have effects where they have biological effects that are like steroids. But again, this is not a pure study because we don't know the quality. He thinks it's a SARM, but like you said, it's a peptide, and these companies are making it. And I've seen these peptide companies come into my emails and spam.
Sure.
And I don't know anything about this stuff. I don't want to know about it, but that's what they're going for. I tell you, those guys that own those companies, boy, they got to be shaking in their boots right now.
Well, I mean, the worst thing that can happen, I imagine, is that they're just going to be shut down. I don't know how it works, but I can't imagine, as long as they stop selling them, I don't think they're going to be in trouble.
Well, you know what the problem is? You know what the problem is going to be, Ron? Again, this is not political. The problem is it's going to drive it completely underground, and like it's going to join the ranks of steroids.
Well, see, when you tell me, this is kind of what I suspected. I mean, I have heard anecdotally some people say, I tried Ostarine or whatever, I put on, 2 or 3 pounds. I've never heard anyone say they made true steroid-like gains.
True.
Anytime I've had people come to me and they say, well, what about Prohormones? I said, just get steroids. If you're gonna, because I say, if you're gonna, they say, well, I don't like needles. I say, you're gonna destroy your liver taking this Superdrol and this stuff. Just get a bottle of test. Have your girl shoot you in the butt or something.
It's so funny. So funny.
I know they're illegal without prescription and everything, but these are people that some of these people I've cared about, and I knew they were going to blow out their livers taking 5 times the bottle recommended dose of some crazy Prohormone, and they'd stay on it for like 3-4 months without a break. So I tried to point them in a healthier direction, even though it was not the legal direction. But
it just, Ron, let me ask you a few questions.
Sure.
Like SARMs, are they advertising in can they advertise legally for this? It seems like they can on Google takes their ads.
Yeah, they have been. I mean, even on MD up until fairly recently, we had a company that was advertising them. I haven't seen the ads recently, so I don't know if this is something that these companies saw coming, a lot of them, and they pulled out. I mean, I've heard there were companies being investigated and having their warehouses raided as long ago as 1.5 years, maybe even 2 years ago, regarding SARMs. And I have to ask you that question too. I mean, did you see this coming a long time ago?
Oh yeah, I tell you right now. So I always wondered. So the Prohormones fall under Supplement Act.
Yeah.
So you had Prohormones in GNC. I remember, the Prohormones and Superdrol and agents like ethyl methyl 1T. Yep. Those you could buy those in like GNC 10 years ago.
Oh yeah. They were the best-selling products on the market for a long time.
I remember, yeah. and Gaspari. I mean, I'm not blowing any whistles on the guy. Gaspari, I think everyone knows that he had some stuff going on with that stuff, but I'm sure he wasn't breaking any laws that he knew of.
No, no.
So it was a supplement, and he had stuff in there. I think his was Superdrol, actually. He called it something else.
It was the original product he made was called Haladrol. It was a huge seller. It worked incredibly well.
Yeah.
And, rumor had it was actually, I believe all Prohormones are actually just oral steroids anyway.
Yeah, but Ron, I'm not an expert in this because I'm not a science. I've never tested them. But if you're an expert would mean like Llewellyn is an expert in this because he has Roy test.
Right.
So he's checked these and he knows on the market what's Anavar, what's his Anadrol, D-ball, Superdrol, and he has a chemical test to differentiate.
Right.
So it's amazing to me. Years ago, I saw it and I was like, how long is this stuff going to stay in the gray market? And then it did, and here it is.
Yeah.
It's not a supplement. It's not for human consumption. So you could literally make it. They make it in New York. I know a big place in Colorado because my patients come in. They tell me where they bought it from.
Yeah.
And it's just amazing to me. But Ron, the bottom line is they're not even for human consumption. So what do we do with that?
My question is, steroids. There's research, there's studies, legitimate medical university studies going back probably 50, 60 years or more. There's a wealth of information available on what steroids are, what they do. These are the side effects. These are the positive effects. These are the negative effects. SARMs, it's not even gray area. It's complete mystery. I don't know what they are. I don't know what they do. I don't know what the potential long-term side effects or damage could be. So, I have to, politically or not, I have to think to me, this sounds like a good idea that they're taking these off the market so at least they can figure out what the hell they are. And maybe they do pose a threat to the consumer to be using unregulated, because who knows? Bodybuilders are such extremists. They'll take 10 times the dose of these because they're going to get 10 times the results, 10 times faster. And, who knows what's going to happen?
Well, the Osterin dose in the streets, it's exactly 10 times the dose that was used in the clinical study.
Wow. See, there you go.
So, but the truth is, and I agree with you. I mean, it's like I want to be in the middle and try to be helping people. If people are suffering with steroid use and they're affected their pituitary, their testicles, their heart, their prostate, they should come in to get help, and that's why I'm here. And men that come in, men that are not using steroids, they come to me either because they have low T for some other reason, but the SARMs issue, it seems like it's been creeping up for years, and it's all the older guys. Here's an interesting piece, anecdotally. The old guys that are 40 and up, they don't even touch SARMs.
Right.
But it's all the young guys that feel like, I don't want to use steroids because they're bad. Look at the old guys. I don't want to end up having my medical So from the hair, to the gyno and acne, the benign things. So all these young guys that have come in through consults, they are loading up with various, and I'm seeing them do 2 or 3 SARMs at once.
Wow. Yeah. That's exactly what happened. That's how poor hormone use was. It was I knew guys that considered themselves drug-free. They were natural bodybuilders, and they would love to make sure you knew that. They would remind you at every turn, and they would load up on 2, 3 different kinds of Prohormones at once. They'd have raging acne. Someone would start getting gyno, start to lose their hair. They're all puffed up with water retention. Yep. And in their heart of hearts, they were still drug-free. And meanwhile, the whites of their eyes are turning yellow from jaundice. Their skin's turning yellow. This is the reason I always tell these people. I know steroids are illegal, but if you're gonna go after something that's gonna make you more muscular, stronger, do it as safely as possible. And unfortunately, some of these legal alternatives are much, much more dangerous than steroids. And I have a feeling that these could be in that group. I don't know.
It is interesting that they're finally going to do something. When do we know when it's passed? Like, how do we know when it's passed? How does that work?
Yeah, I mean, I asked Rick, like, how long, this doesn't seem like the type of thing that would get rushed through Congress fast. It's not like an active war or, Trump's got he's got plenty going on right now. They have a lot more bigger fish to fry than SARMs. So
Yeah.
this could be a while. This could be months, a year, who knows how long.
But what did Rick say? I mean, I'd love to see that. What are they going to do if that goes through?
If it goes through, so immediately all sales will be stopped. Companies will have to stop producing them, stop selling them. And if you're a consumer and you have any in your possession, you're now a criminal. You can't legally have them in your possession. They'll be a controlled substance, just like steroids or crack or heroin or whatever. So,
what did Rick? Is there any provision for research, or like I'm asking for training and research on these?
I don't know if the bill. I haven't seen the bill. It wasn't up last night. It might already be up on the. There's a U.S. Congress website, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
You can tell how LinkedIn I am with all these things.
Yeah.
But I don't know if anything's being proposed other than to criminalize them, to make them a controlled substance, and then it's not up to the government to do the research and figure out what's going on with the SARMs. I think that's going to have to be like I said. I believe this is going to be something for big pharma if there's a potential for them to make enormous profits off of this. They're going to be the ones.
But that's the thing, though. So where does it go? So are we going to look away from SARMs? SARMs and steroids absolutely needs to be studied for the good side of it. What they can provide.
Right.
I mean, for building muscle for people that are getting older and that are debilitated.
Yeah.
And the guys at Harvard agree. It's all in there. But unfortunately, Ron, we're still teasing out all the negative, all the bad, the major league, I wish McGuire and all those guys just all that bad Congress go away, because we have real things to deal with here.
Right.
No, who cares about the Olympic, that movie, the cheating, they're passing, vials through the wall for the Olympic cheaters. Who cares about that now? So people are so enamored by all this drama, but all these, how about me? All these men are coming in, and they're middle class men. They have jobs, they have children, or they need Clomid and HCG.
Yeah.
And they're not bodybuilders. They're just guys that like to do a little gear to feel good in college or in their 20s, and then they realize they can't come off.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting you say that, because the big controversy, I think Rick was alluding to the fact that part of the reason this happened, this was proposed by the senators, was MMA fighters were testing positive for it. Some other athletes had tested positive for it. And so it's getting in that realm of this is doping in sports and it's cheating. And that's the whole reason steroids became criminalized after the 1988 Seoul Olympics with Ben Johnson. Up until then, yeah. I believe doctors were prescribing them pretty freely. People were using them responsibly, adults. And everything after that changed. They became a controlled substance. Everything went underground. The manufacturing went underground. It was no longer pharmaceutical companies doing most of the production. It was these labs in shoddy conditions and bacteria infections. And, it's too bad that it went that way. But if these things, SARMs, do have the potential to be really beneficial and safer in many ways than steroids, and I really hope that the research is done, and if it's the pharmaceutical companies that have to be the ones to bring it to eventually to market with a prescription, so be it. That'll be a good thing, rather than, like you said, you said in the article, 50% of what was being sold wasn't even SARMs anyway. It was completely unregulated. So
they have
this is a bad thing.
It is amazing that 100 years from now, where are we going to be with these agents? Because a selective androgen receptor modulator, it just means that it's a medicine that makes muscle grow, but hopefully doesn't affect anything else.
Yeah,
a SARM.
That's what it's supposed to do, right?
Yeah, it's amazing how it's just amazing that the political side that it looks at that muscle building. It's all because of Major League Baseball, Ron. It's all because, I mean, if your grandmother's had stronger legs when she's walking around, she wouldn't have to go to a nursing home.
Yeah, it's true.
I mean, it is interesting. So, and then we have to that's why I want to be one of those progressive thinkers, physicians, of saying, this is illegal. I'm not saying it's illegal. It's illegal. That's illegal. Now they're going to make this illegal. And I agree with you. It needs to be somehow provided in a safe, they need to study this. And if people are getting hurt from it, that's what our government's trying to help us so they don't get hurt.
Right.
So, okay, we have to make a registry, bring people out from the shadows. What are you doing? How do they do it? Tell us what your symptoms, does it help? Does it hurt? And then let's try to do a study, a real study, because there are studies on steroids. There's been a lot of studies of people on steroids. You know that.
Right, right.
I believe Dr. Bashane at Harvard gave men steroids, and he found out, literally, he gave 800 milligrams of testosterone 7 days a week.
Yeah. Guys didn't even train and they put on muscle, isn't that correct?
He showed that their legs, they were doing leg extensions, Ron.
Yeah.
And he showed that in a graded fat, the guys that did 200 were the guys that did more, 800 were the strongest, 600, and I swear it literally is probably, again, forgive me if I'm wrong, Dr. Bashane, I think it was the number one, that's a real study. He got that by the board. They agreed with it. They let him do it, and he put men on testosterone steroid levels and proved that their legs got stronger, Ron.
So I have to ask you this, because you prescribe TRT doses to, I don't know how many patients you have, hundreds, thousands, I don't know. Is there even a need for something like SARMs? Because you're prescribing testosterone to all these guys who are using it safely. You're monitoring their health, and used at these doses ranging 100 to 250 milligrams a week of testosterone.
It's all TRT level. It's about 100 a week though. It's plus or minus. It's dependent on the man.
It's relatively safe, correct?
Here's the deal. What a question. And so it's safe, but there's nasty side effects.
Even at that dose?
Sure.
Such as?
Hair loss,
really?
Gynecomastia, acne, mood disorders.
Wow.
It can affect the cardiac. You should see my video on the cardiovascular stuff. We're going to repost it.
Yeah.
Prostate, sexual, your testicles definitely will atrophy, even at low dose.
Wow.
So should I keep going, Ron?
No. So if that's all true, then I guess if SARMs have the potential to give the positive effects of testosterone without all these negative effects, then absolutely, this is something we should try to get going, try to get brought to market as
you know what, Ron?
An alternative to steroids.
So I only take in men.
Yeah. I
will not. I've never treated a woman, and I never will. I just don't feel comfortable doing it. Other doctors do for libido. They give there are doctors in Connecticut that treat women with testosterone pellets.
Wow.
Because for one reason only, Ron.
Libido?
Yeah.
Are these? I don't know if you know this, but are these menopausal or postmenopausal women?
Both.
Okay. But it's
young 40s, women in their 40s that are they're not in menopause. They're not menopause. They're premenopause. They're not in menopause. They're young women.
Wow. So purely for libido, women are being
100% for, again, wow. I don't do it. I never have, and I never will. I just don't feel comfortable doing it. This is a 100% men's health clinic here. 100% men's health.
Can I ask, is that an off-label prescription?
Sure. Yeah, it's off-label. Yeah.
It's not. Testosterone is never recommended for women, correct?
No. So I only give men testosterone. I only give testosterone to men that need it. And then I watch them closely, and I'm the expert in doing it. It's all I do. It's all I do all day long. I diagnose them carefully. I explain the risks and benefits, and then if I feel comfortable, if we both feel comfortable, we proceed forward. And I watch them. No one monitors a patient on testosterone closer than me. I can tell you that. No one.
So I imagine you would welcome something like SARMs, eventually, if it was.
Ron, again, they're not even illegal, but once they become illegal, I'll say, hey, these are illegal. Yeah. But right today, I'm a scientist and I'm a caring physician. I took an oath to help people and not hurt them. Yeah. So we absolutely need to study further on on SARMs. Ron, testosterone is from it's from the 1930s.
Yeah.
Hey, testosterone works. It makes these men feel well with libido. I don't give testosterone for muscle building. That's a joke. Everyone knows I don't do that.
Right.
Men come into me because they've used testosterone for muscle building, and now their brains are shut off. Maybe they have a heart attack, or they have an enlarged heart, or they're suffering from mood disorder, and I have to work with primary care physicians and psychiatrists. This is very complicated, Ron. So, but I give it to men that need it, and there's only 2 reasons in all my notes. I put they're low, they have clinical signs and symptoms, and we have to say that we feel that this medicine is they're going to get a benefit that outweighs the risks. And that's giving. If we give you Lipitor, we have to document that.
Right.
Right.
I mean, the fact that you said, like you said, steroids have been around for about 80 years now. We're in 2018, so. You would think with all the advances we've had in medicine and pharmacology in that time that we would have, some companies would have developed something along the lines of steroids that was safer, more effective, But
Ron, don't you wonder? Isn't this amazing? So I think you hit it. Okay, I'm staying out of the politics. This is just a general discussion. Sure. I think you hit it. I think you nailed it. They see that this is going to be it's so huge because probably they're the government, so they're able to see how big the searches are on Google.
Yeah.
And they're like, wow, we need to study it. Hopefully I hope they're going to do it ethically, and I hope they have money earmarked for funding research, a registry for steroid users that are using them. How about the men that are suffering and women from SARMs use today? We owe them. If we're going to ban these, we ethically owe them the opportunity to come in out of the shadows and get help. And we need to train physicians. I'm doing this today. And we need money for education.
Okay. Yeah.
So that's my plea. And that's why if this goes forward, I agree with you, Ron. It's the time now where we have to address it. That people are getting hurt, Ron. It's Wild West. They're buying drugs off the internet. It's insane.
Yeah.
And do you have the right to do that? It's not a controlled drug yet. You have the right to do it. I don't feel you have the right to do, I guess, whatever you want and to hurt yourself and maybe even go to jail.
Yeah.
I mean, that's foolish. I'd like to hear I wish Rick Collins was here. Anabolic doc and anabolic lawyer.
What a team.
I would like to see what Rick would say about that. Do they have the right? I'm sure Rick would say they actually don't have the right to do it.
No, he's very much for, consumer rights and doesn't like government interference by and large. So he wasn't overly thrilled with this being put out there in Congress the way it was. But,
is he aggressive? What is he? What's his opinion on it?
Well, you can watch the interview, but he hadn't read. He wanted to reserve a full opinion until he had read the entire act because he wanted to see the wording of it and what it was proposing exactly. Because he's very careful. He didn't want to speculate, and I didn't want to force him to speculate.
Rick and I have to be very careful.
Exactly. Disclaimer. Disclaimer. Disclaimer.
We got to. We're out here. We're both out here trying to help people.
Right.
And none of us give a blessing on steroids. I know Rick, of course I know him, and we have to work, we have to be very careful. But again, people do things and they get hurt and they need to get protection. Yeah.
Okay. And you just come out with a couple new YouTube videos this week, haven't you, Doctor?
So we have a new channel and it's Metabolic Doc. If you go to my page, so we're taking a break right now from my other channel. Okay. And I really don't care to talk about the reason why. We're taking a break from that right now.
Yeah.
And we have a men's health. It's Metabolic Doc Men's Health. And if you go to YouTube and put Metabolic Doc Men's Health, it's going to probably be up in the top 5.
Okay.
And there's in the beginning when you launch a channel, you don't get like a name or a URL.
Oh.
So it's a channel. But if you go to my website, Metabolic Doc, and you click on my YouTube icon.
Yeah.
I've launched, my goal now, I'm always focusing further and further. My goal now is to provide educational videos for men's health relating to testosterone replacement,
Yep.
cardiovascular disease for men, sexual and prostate issues. So we loaded up our first, I have an introduction video that we have up there. And my first video, I'll be putting about one video a week. I'm so overloaded with the practices now, Ron. We're opening up Florida. I'm writing for you guys, and I'm loving that. I have other places asking me to write for, and I'm overwhelmed right now. So I have all these patients, and I always have to be there for my patients, number one.
Right.
So I wanted to start with a focused men's health educational YouTube channel. So the first channel presentation is testosterone replacement is not guilty for prostate cancer.
Wow.
So please, we lowered that last night.
Yep.
And again, that was an evidence-based review of the journal studies on testosterone relating to prostate cancer.
Yeah, I mean, that was something that my old Dr. Morgenthaler was very, very passionate about, because that was something, I think it had been proposed, the link to prostate cancer had been proposed back in the 60s.
Ron, I talked about Morgenthaler in my video for you.
Dr. Abe, yes.
So please watch the video.
Definitely going to.
What I want to do going forward is, instead of getting involved with some of the chatter on the internet, Ron,
Yeah.
I'm trying to provide, I don't care how many views and how many followers I have, because my followers and viewers are so dedicated, and it's a mature audience that I want to be known as the top doc for men that are on testosterone, or men that just want to protect their heart and prostate.
Yeah.
It's all I want to do, Ron.
I mean, I would argue that you already have that reputation.
Thank you, Ron. Thank you.
I can understand you wanting to cement that reputation, but
I'm living to 110. I'm only 53. So I decided that I'm not getting involved with the chatter and this craziness and all this bad karma and energy with, Ron, it can get, I'm such a weak person I'm such a nice person that it's so, the hate and the trolls on the internet are so horrific.
The YouTube comments are the worst. You'll have a little girl doing a ballet recital, and the most horrific comments or something will be under that. Some people online are just, the trolls out there really, they almost destroy my faith in the human species.
I'm glad to hear this. So instead of shying away and even getting involved with some of those, trying to answer the trolls back.
No.
I mean, and I'm too busy for that. But I really thought, I said, I want to have a dedicated channel just for men, cardiovascular, because again, women have women's health experts.
Right.
I want to be metabolic, men's health for men. Half the men are on testosterone. If they use steroids, they should come in to get help. If they have low T from any other cause, they should get evaluated. If they're on testosterone, they should come to my medical services, because I'm going to be putting up clinics all over the country and the world.
Awesome. Okay.
Same old stuff, Ron. It's going to be, I'm not reinventing any wheels.
Yeah.
But of course, I'm always going to be writing for you guys, because you guys are awesome.
Thank you, Doc. Thank you.
I'm always going to be doing something. I have the anabolic doc and I have the metabolic doc.
Yeah. I saw on the shirt it says metabolic doc.
This shirt, this is the metabolic. I do actually, when I go to some of the shows and stuff, I wear the anabolic doc shirt.
I would hope so.
But it's fun, Ron. And life is about having a good time, not hurting people.
Right.
Having a beautiful time and giving something, trying to give back.
Right on. You're doing a great job.
I'm trying to help.
Okay, so next week we'll be back to our regularly scheduled program. We'll be answering your questions, so keep them coming in. We had a couple. We'll get to those next time, I promise you guys. Swaminator, I know you always have good questions for us, and the other guys. So in the meantime, thank you, Doctor, for enlightening us with your professional medical opinion on SARMs, because I had a lot of questions that you answered for me. So please check out the doctor's website, metabolicdoc.com and anabolicdoc.com. The book is available there, and as well, it's on Amazon now. You can pick it up, and I urge you to do so. It's a great read. So, Doctor, thank you so much for this episode. Thank you guys all for watching, and we'll catch you next time.